You're listening to me on Brashenomics, and, it's Ben Brashen, and, we haven't had rain for a few days, so sometimes people start thinking, hey, it doesn't rain in Seattle anymore. Sometimes people watch the weather report and realize it's supposed to come back in, tomorrow. It looks like it could rain any moment. But, rain, as most people know, is water, and water can really screw up houses. Gary Gutierrez joins us with the ACS Seattle, who really helps his clients with every aspect of home building, remodeling, but really specializes in foundations and waterproofing homes, which you'd kind of think everybody would have a waterproof home in Seattle. Welcome, Gary.
Thank you.
How are you?
Very good. Dry.
You're dry, and, you're talking about going to the Sounders games, even with your kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, the sporting events, it just brings it brings such energy to what's going on.
Yeah, no, the boys love it, and I have a great time there.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know always what's going on, it's just so much fun being there. It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Good family time.
Yeah. Well, soccer's pretty easy to figure out.
Yeah, I can figure that out.
Kick it with your feet. Don't touch with your hands.
Yeah.
Put it in the back of the net. Gary, so it hasn't rained for a few days. People maybe are not thinking so much about water. But, you've built almost an entire business on keeping water out of homes and not through the roof.
Correct. Yeah, a lot of homes in Seattle have basements, and so often enough, water will get in there. And most of the time, 99% of the time, has to do with just neglected downspouts. So that's the first thing we advise.
Just the gutters.
Just the gutters. The water needs to be tight-lined or drained away without any holes away from the foundation and allowed to percolate away from the house. And that's the number one reason houses sink and crack, foundations open up, and basements flood.
So you end up with the downspouts, the gutters that are kind of failing, or they fail to at least do their job, which is to keep the water away from the house.
No, the downspouts, they'll just direct all the roof runoff. You can imagine, the square footage of your roof is one of the largest parts where water collects into 4 or 5 hoses, and they become almost like a fire hose going into one point next to the foundation. If you can imagine all that water collecting there, if it doesn't get tight lined away and diverted away from the foundation, it will sit there and pool, and water will want to go sideways as well as downward. But if there's enough there, it'll want to go sideways and push sideways. It's called hydrostatic pressure, and that's why people have water come through the cracks.
So you've specialized in water intrusion. How did you end up coming to specialize in this? Because you've been in the construction business and the general contract business for 17 years. That's some longevity in that business.
Yes.
How did you come to specialize in this aspect of it?
Yeah, we do all sorts of work, but we've been doing foundations for a long time, and so people call us for that. I believe it's just that our weather pattern has just gotten more and more epic. It's a lot more inches in a 24-hour period than it has historically, and it just seems like it's getting stronger and stronger. So even foundations that have been repaired or water systems that have been put in sometimes reach capacity after a few years. And so we even get called back on systems that have basements that have already had systems put in. So it's just something that continues to get worse in here. And, Seattle seems to be an area where there's basements is the norm for building houses historically in, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even earlier than that.
So when you start thinking, or when people, if you're out there and you're thinking, well, geez, I have a basement, can you tell if you have water intrusion? Can you just go and visually inspect it yourself? Could somebody go down to their basement right now and potentially protect themselves from a cracked foundation down the road or standing water in their home? Is it something they can go do?
When they first buy a home, they get an inspection, but that doesn't always guarantee everything. The people I talk to oftentimes know that they have it, or they learn recently that they're starting to get that. So there's not necessarily you're going to go down there and see a flood, and that does happen to people. And from that point on, they're trying to figure out what to do, so they're calling all the different professionals to come in and take a look at it. And so,
I mean, nothing like waking up with a pool in your basement.
no,
You know, not exactly the thing that adds value when you go to resell it.
not at all. So yeah, we help them through that. I mean, again, we just try to figure out where it's coming from. You can never just waterproof a basement from the interior. What you want to do is try to figure out where it's coming in from, why it's coming in from that, and attack it from the outside.
Is that because really the basement walls are not going to hold the water out?
True.
I mean, they're not. Concrete's not made to.
Correct. Concrete is very porous. So I always tell my clients, whether or not, you know, that half-inch hair, you know, that hairline crack, or it could be 2 inches crack, 2-inch wide crack, and it really doesn't matter if you have a wide crack, as long as you can keep the water away from the foundation. Water doesn't want to go sideways. It wants to go down. And so if you can keep water...
It also doesn't want to go through concrete if it can just go down a hill.
Exactly. Path of least
I mean,
resistance.
I don't know a lot about, you know, waterproofing basements. I know which way water goes.
That's right. It makes sense.
It does.
So yeah, nothing technical, nothing too, you know, it's not rocket science. So yeah, basically we just want to get it so water has a way to go down below the slab of the basement. And once we do that, again, it doesn't matter whether that crack is 1/2 inch, 2 inches, water's not going to get in.
You just keep the water off
Yeah.
of the foundation, out of the crack.
Right. The idea is not necessarily to waterproof it. Waterproofing is great. It makes you feel good that you have it waterproofed. But
It's like a watch.
Right. But what's more important is to allow the water a way out before it wants to go sideways into your house. So if you can divert it away from your house, you won't have any problems.
So, is it really? It's probably not even that expensive, considering when you're looking at getting just funneling water away.
Right.
Especially versus if you start to have a cracked foundation where water starts intruding and causing major problems.
Correct.
I mean, sounds like pretty inexpensive maintenance.
Yeah, it's normal maintenance stuff. So if you have a foundation and you don't have cracks in your foundation or water intrusion problems, make sure that your downspouts are going into tight lines, meaning pipes, preferably modern plastic pipes that have no holes in them and away from the foundation. Depending on the location and the layout of your home, you want it to go downhill at least 5 to 6 feet away from your foundation so it can percolate down. Of course, it depends on the type of soil you have and if you have a hard pan, you know, right near there. And it will require somebody to go out there and just take a look at it and make sure, you know. But from the very beginning, if you're on flat land and if you have the normal soil that percolates, just get it away from your house. And oftentimes splash blocks will do it, but you know, if you're getting some cracks in there or you see some when you first buy the house, that might not be enough. You might need to really direct it far away from the house. And it's worth it. A couple $1,000 for most houses, and you can get the line away from the house and have it percolate 10, 15 feet away from the house.
So we've talked on this show about the safety of making a house too tight. You know, again, we're here with Gary Gutierrez of ACS Seattle, and talking about, you know, the dangers actually of water coming into your house, and because there's big issues if you get water. I mean, there's mold, there's a lot of big issues. But how do you waterproof or seal a home or keep it away? And I guess, as you said, you're not really waterproofing the home. It's not like you're tightening the house. You're just making sure the water goes away.
Right. We're certified water intrusion specialists, and that has mainly to do with the exterior siding of the homes. You see a lot of these condos that have been up only maybe 10 years, and all of a sudden there's a big white sheet of plastic around it with some contractors' big logos and stuff on it.
It's a great advertising medium. It must be for them, right?
Great. And it's...
You know, you wrap an entire building in downtown Seattle and like, hey, we didn't do this, we're just fixing it.
Yeah, it's a great business. And it's because a lot of products that have been put up haven't been put up properly. The staff who actually puts it up might not have been trained properly. So the manufacturers have put together a water intrusion certification program, of which we've been one of the early people that have passed it and gotten certified. And so what it is it allows them to be able to certify a project so that people can say, yes, you know, this is installed right. Because oftentimes you'll go to a house that's new and it looks great, but you don't know what's underneath. You don't know if the underlayment, which is the most important part, not how beautiful the siding is, but how the stuff underneath has been put on. It could have been layered backwards and acts like a sieve or acts like a a funnel instead of acts like a diverter away for the house. So again,
that happens. I mean, people put siding on wrong.
Not the siding, it's the underlayment. And
Okay.
it could happen on a Monday morning job. It could happen
After a Seahawks game. People
whatever.
A little slow out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's we're humans, and a mistake could be made.
Yeah.
So yes, and oftentimes it does. In the rush of building homes, sometimes staff is there that isn't quite trained enough or supervised enough, and don't have the basic principles.
And at that point in time, I mean, you're talking about major issues that come down the road.
Yes. What I was referring to initially was these are multi-million, tens of millions of dollar projects. But even on residential homes, that can occur too, because, with the building boom that we had previously, I know it seems like it's been a while now, but homes are getting built quickly and wrapping up really fast. And so the city inspectors don't look at that stuff. Okay, so having it passed by inspection doesn't mean that it's not going to allow water in. So it is important that you have contractors that understand water intrusion. And the main principle with water intrusion is to allow it to breathe, allow it to weep away. All siding is permeable, whether it be cedar, the cement board panels, brick is very permeable. One of the things that people were surprised when they asked the class, how long do you think it'll take for water to get through the brick? And everybody was thinking minutes. It took seconds. It's
for water to get through a brick?
Yeah, because it's permeable.
We're going to have to get a brick in here and drip some water on it, man. Gary, we have to go to break. Thanks so much for joining us. Stick around to the end because we got some more. I want to ask you a few more questions and get into how you find people. When we come back, hey, we're done with tax season this year, but if you file them yourself, man, are you about to find out 10 reasons you may want to double check your work. We'll be right back with Boy Scoff. You're listening to Brashenomics.